guys, so if you have seen my welcome video, then you know by now that I am documenting my debt-free journey from start to finish. You will see my Dave Ramsey inspired budgeting plan and what I've learned so far. I knew who Dave Ramsey was back in college and high school, and that he helped people get out of debt, but at that time none of that stuff really pertained to me because I didn't have any debt. Now here we are, fast forward like years later, I am definitely paying attention. So let's chit chat a bit about how me and my husband accumulated a mountain of $125,000 of debt. Well, first let me say I do consider myself part of the middle class. Me and my husband, we have pretty good paying jobs. We also have 2 children and 1 dog. Also, in this breakdown, I am not going to include our mortgage because that is something that I know we're going to be paying on for a while. That's more of a long-term goal to get that paid off early, but I'm going to focus on all our commercial consumer debt. Things like car payments, student loans, personal loans, credit cards, stuff like that. So the first debt is my student loans, and pretty much you guys know how that go. You go to college and you go to your counselor and you try your best to apply for this scholarship, this particular grant. In my particular case, none of that worked. My parents were not rich, but they also were not poor, so I really did not qualify for any of those type of programs. So I was pretty much stuck, and at that time I really wanted to go ahead and get my schooling out of the way. So I did not want to wait. So I did work a little bit and try my best to save up money for school, but it just wasn't working for me. So after talking to the counselor, we came up with the idea, oh yeah, go ahead and apply for the student loan. Don't worry about it. You can pay for it when you graduate. Plus they give you a 6-month grace period. I was eating it all up. Sure, this would be great. I don't have to stress myself out. I'm going to go ahead and get my degree, and then I will pay everything once I'm done with college. Big mistake. So you guys know the rest. That's how it goes. I still have that debt. And I want to say that debt is about $35,000. I'll put the exact amount on the screen. So that's a big portion of the debt right there. So up until about 3 years ago, me and my husband both had no car payment. His car is paid off, my car is paid off, and trust me, if I could go back to that, that would be awesome. But around that time, we had just upgraded our home. We bought a bigger home. And at that time we had 1 child, and we were thinking about, you know, having a second. And I unfortunately was like, I cannot have 2 kids in my car. We have to get a bigger car. So I got an SUV, and boom, there goes $32,000 right in there. Now don't get me wrong, I love my truck, but that probably wasn't needed, or I could probably find a truck that was way less money, but that was what I wanted. I could afford it. We only had that 1 car payment, truck payment at that time. So fast forward to last year, the beginning of last year, my husband really wanted solar panels. And I agreed too, because our electric company here sucks, and we were literally tired of paying them ridiculous amounts of money. And I mean, we're talking $400 or $500 bills a month just to have running electricity. We did get an irrigation well set up that we paid out of pocket for, but it still really did not help. The bill was just too high. So we decided to invest in solar panels, and there you go, a whole nother $32,500, I believe. But in the course of a few years, we now have a car payment. We have a solar panel payment, and I'm still paying on my student loans. And to make matters worse, a few months later, my husband got into a bad car accident, and it totaled our other car that we had no car payment on. So now we're down to one car, which is the truck that I'm paying all this money on a month, which was fine because I'm like, oh, it's fine. We'll just have one car payment. Now we unfortunately have to go look for a car because he works, 2 jobs. I work 2 jobs. I have kids. Like we need 2 vehicles. So instead of just using that insurance check to go buy a cash car, we wanted to upgrade and get a better car, a more reliable used car. And kind of, I want to say an impulsive buy, but since it wasn't really something we were looking to get, I think the car dealerships people kind of got the best of us, and we decided to go ahead and get a car, and it was $14,000. So here we go, boom, within 3 years we went from our run-of-the-mill credit card debt plus my student loans to another car payment, another truck payment, solar panels. It was just all adding up very, very quickly. So with that $100,000 that we just went over, the rest of the $25,000 came from little credit cards that we had here, personal line of credit, consolidation loans, things that we just kind of like, oh yeah, go ahead and put on the card. We'll use a promotional offer, put on the card, we'll pay that down before the accrued interest tax on. So we thought that we got good paying jobs, we can afford this, as long as we can afford the payments. The problem was we never really felt the struggle of all that debt because we still went on trips, we still ate out 3 or 4 times a week. We were just thinking, oh, we can afford it. I literally would just make the payments a month and keep on moving. And at this point, I was just too busy in my career to really sit down and think about it. I had my career plus 2 kids, running a household. It was just not even crossing my mind about the amount of debt that we were in. So fast forward to 2020, I made the decision that I wanted to cut back on my working hours. I wanted to go from full-time to part-time because I just felt like I wasn't spending enough time at home with my 2 girls. So I decided, let me go ahead and write down all of our bills just to make sure this was something that we could afford for me to cut back on my hours. Girl, let me tell you, when I wrote down every single one of those bills and that $125,000 was staring me in my face, I could not believe it. That was my first time actually seeing the total of debt that we were in on a piece of paper. I mean, it was literally mind-blowing. I'm like, I can't believe I'm just handing this money out. Like, here you go. Well, okay, here you go. Here you go. Like, it was crazy. So at that moment is when I said, nope, we got to do something about this. So I decided from that day we are going to become debt free. I didn't quite know how we were going to get there, but I'm like, no, we got to do something. So I got on YouTube, I got on Google and started searching ways to get out of debt. And then that's when all these videos came up on pay off your debt in 3 to 5 years, Dave Ramsey's 7 baby steps to financial freedom. All these kind of videos popped up that I didn't even know existed, to be honest. And in that process, I was finding families and women and men, everybody of all ages, and people are saying, you know, I can pay for this in cash. I can get out of debt. I'm going to do this, and this is how I'm going to do it. I said, you know what? I can do this. Me and my husband can do this. It was time to change my mindset when it came to money and credit. At this point, I knew I needed to build wealth and build a future for my family. So that's how we started our debt-free journey. And here we are. And I want to document it all on YouTube so I can look back and say, this was the day I decided to do something about our current situation, and this is how we did it, and it's going to be so rewarding seeing the process from start to finish. So that is pretty much it on how we got into the mess that we got into. No, we're not struggling to a point where we can't afford to eat or anything like that. But there is, you know, an audience out there that's like me, who are in that middle where you feel like I could be doing better. You know, it's not bad as it seems, but it might get there if I keep doing what I'm doing. So that's pretty much it. That's my debt story of how we got into $125,000 of debt. And now I want to hear yours. So tell me, if you are on a debt-free journey, what is the total amount of your debt? What are you guys doing to get out of the debt? What plan are you following? Are you going to do a zero-based budget? Are you going to just take a certain amount of money per month? Let's have a conversation about it. So if this video was interesting to you, go ahead and hit the like button and subscribe. I really appreciate everyone's support, and I definitely am going to need it. But I am determined, and I know we are going to do this, and I'm just happy that you guys get to see it too. All right, so I will see you guys in the next video. Bye.